Hi, I'm Abby Cloud, and for my Texas Invasive Species Project, I will be doing the red imported fire ant. First, we're going to look at its taxonomy and biology. So for its classification, it has a scientific name of Solenopsis invicta, and it belongs to the species insect. Then looking at its native range. This ant is mainly native to Central South America, but within South America, you'll mainly find it in Brazil. Once it was imported to the US, you will mainly find these ants in the South. So now looking at what its predators are and what its prey is. So these ants will tend to gather and eat dead animals, which include other insects, earthworms, and other vertebrates. When it comes to their predators, they're mainly hunted by armadillos, spiders, birds, and horned lizards. Continuing to look at the red imported fire ant's taxonomy and biology, I've provided some biological facts. One being that they tend to be a highly aggressive species, and this is especially when it comes to competing for a food source. So their colonies will consist of large worker ants, medium worker ants, and small worker ants, and then of course a queen. They are also known to reproduce and spread populations at a very fast rate, which makes them very invasive. When looking at their interactions with humans, they do sting, and when they are stung, an individual may begin to develop a fever, feel dizzy, have hives, and some may go into anaphylactic shock. But more commonly, a sting from this ant may become infected, which would need to be looked at by a doctor. And in severe cases, if an individual is hypersensitive, they can develop a very severe reaction. Next, we'll look at the invasion ecology of the red imported fire ant. Our first question is how and why is it here? This ant was introduced to the US around the 1930s. It is also believed that it was accidentally introduced through the port of Mobile, Alabama, and most likely came from the soils that were used for the ship's ballasts. The next question is why is it bad? These ants tend to create very large mounds that will tear up yards and properties and are not good for the soil. They are also believed to displace many native ants from their habitat. Our final question is what native species does it affect? The invasion of this ant has tended to affect many native species to Texas. Some of these are native ants such as the Texas leafcutter ant, the harvest ant, and the carpenter ant. The introduction of this ant has also believed to disrupt many ground nesting birds such as the bobwhite quail. Finally, we're going to look at the current research that is being done to help control the invasion of the red imported fire ant and hopefully remove the harm that they are causing. Our first question is, what is being done to try to control it or remove their threats? So throughout researchers trying to find a good method on how to control these ants, they have proven to be very hardy and also very difficult to manage. And although biological controls are still being investigated to find a good solution, there have been others that have been recommended. Which leads us into our next question. What is the prognosis? So the number one item that is still recommended to use to control these ants are insecticides. They have always been announced the best option to control the mounds and hopefully stop the ants from populating. A couple specific insecticides that were recommended are Amdro Pro Fire Ant Bait and the Max Force FC Fire Ant Bait. And since researchers know not everyone wants to use insecticides in their yard, they have provided an alternative method. The method is to create several holes in the mounds in your yard and then to pour several gallons of hot water into them. These are my citations for all the research, and that was my presentation on the red imported fire ants. Thank you.